hotel hallway was quiet that night. Eduardo Montoya, 42 years old, stood at the door of his suite at the Eden Gardens Hotel in San Antonio, Texas. His hand rested on the doorframe. He could not move. It was not the crying that stopped him this time. For weeks, he had learned to live with that sound. 3 small voices screaming like the world was ending. What stopped him tonight was the opposite. Silence. A silence that felt impossible. Eduardo had been living in this hotel since his wife, Maria, died 3 months ago. He could not go back to their house in the north side of the city. Everything there reminded him of her. Her clothes were still in the closet. Her coffee mug was still by the sink. So he packed up the babies, the nanny, and the private nurse, and moved into the presidential suite of the hotel his family owned. He was a powerful man. His family had built half the commercial real estate in South Texas. He had more money than he could ever spend. But money had not given him one single night of peace since the triplets were born. Mateo, Ivan, and Rosa, 7 months old now, beautiful, small, and always crying. Eduardo looked through the door. What he saw made his throat close. On the king-size bed, curled up like she had fallen asleep mid-breath, was a young waitress in a red uniform, and pressed against her chest, like 3 little birds finding warmth, were his 3 children. Finally asleep, finally still, finally peaceful. Eduardo could not remember the last time he had slept more than 2 hours a row. 3 weeks, maybe 4. The days had blurred together into one long, painful fog. He had tried everything money could buy. He hired infant sleep specialists who charged more per hour than most people made in a week. He brought in a famous pediatrician from Houston who recommended expensive machines that played sounds from inside the womb. He ordered special formula from another country. He paid for a holistic therapist who burned herbs and talked about blocked energy in the room. He even had a sleep trainer flown in from New York, the kind who worked with celebrity families. Nothing worked, not one single thing. And now a young waitress in a hotel restaurant, a woman who took 3 buses to get to work every morning, had done what millions of dollars could not. She had given those babies peace. Eduardo felt something strange in his chest. It was not quite shame. It was something heavier. He was a Montoya. His grandfather had built the first Montoya building in this city. His father had doubled the family fortune, and Eduardo had grown it even more. He was used to solving problems with resources, with the right phone call, the right check, the right person. But this woman, this waitress with worn shoes and tired eyes, had walked into that room and done something no expert could explain. She had simply been present, calm, warm, real, and his children had felt it. Her name was Sofia Guerrero. She was 28 years old and had grown up in the west side of San Antonio, in a neighborhood where the streets had potholes that never got fixed and the corner store closed at 8 because it was not safe after dark. She had been working at the Eden Gardens Hotel for 2 years. She came in before sunrise most mornings. She served coffee to businessmen who never looked up from their phones. She cleared plates from tables where people left food she could not afford to buy. She smiled when customers were rude. She said yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, even when her feet ached and her back hurt from carrying heavy trays. Sophia did not complain. That was how she had been raised. Her mother, Remedios, 61 years old, had taught her that dignity was not something you waited for other people to give you. You carried it yourself every day, no matter what. Remedios was sick now, a lung condition that made her cough through the night. The medicine was expensive. Sophia worked double shifts whenever she could. She sent money home every week without fail. She had not planned to stay in that suite. She had only gone up because Donna Carmen, the nanny, had stopped her in the hallway and begged for extra towels. Sophia could hear the babies crying from the corridor. She had hesitated at the door for just a moment. Then she walked in, not because it was her job, because she could not walk away from something that small and that lost. Sophia had never taken a single child development class. She had no training in infant care, no certificate on the wall, no official title. What she had was something else entirely. She had grown up poor. And growing up poor in a neighborhood like hers meant learning early that the world could be loud and frightening and too big for small people. Her mother had known this. When electricity went out, which happened more than it should have. Remedios would sit in the dark with young Sophia on her lap and sing. Not a real song with words anyone would recognize. Just a low, rolling sound, almost like breathing set to music. Something ancient. Something that said, "I am here and that is enough." Sophia had never forgotten that sound. When she picked up baby Rosa from the little basket and pressed the tiny girl against her chest, she did not think about technique. She just breathed slowly, deeply, and let the sound come up from somewhere quiet inside her. Rosa did not stop crying right away, but the cry changed. It softened, like the baby had heard something familiar, something her body remembered even if her mind did not understand it yet. 5 minutes later, Rosa was asleep. Carmen, the nanny, 60 years old and exhausted, stared at Sophia with wide eyes. "How did you do that?" Sophia shrugged. She genuinely did not know how to explain it. "My mom used to do this for me," she said, "when I was scared. I guess I just didn't force it." Eduardo watched from the doorway for a long time that night. He did not go inside. He was not sure why. Maybe because walking in felt like admitting something. Like admitting that all his money and all his effort had failed where simple human warmth had not. He watched Sophia place Rosa back in her bassinet and reach for Mateo. Same slow movement, same soft sound. She was not rushing. She was not tense. She looked like someone who had nowhere else to be and no other purpose in that moment except to be present with that child. Mateo took a little longer, about 10 minutes. But he too closed his eyes and went still. Ivan was last. Ivan was always the most restless, the one who cried loudest and fought sleep the hardest. But when Sophia held him, his small fist grabbed the edge of her red uniform and held on. And slowly, he gave up the fight. When Sophia stepped out of the room, she almost walked directly into Eduardo. She startled badly. Her eyes went wide. She apologized immediately, stumbling over her words. She had not known he was there. She was just trying to help. Carmen had asked her to. Eduardo looked at her for a long moment. His voice came out rougher than he meant it to. "You did a good job," he said. Sophia looked at the floor. "Thank you, sir." Then she picked up her empty tray and walked back down the hall without another word. The next morning, Sophia expected nothing. She went back to the restaurant, poured coffee, carried plates, smiled at strangers. She did not think about the suite on the top floor. She told herself it had been a lucky moment, a coincidence. The babies had been tired enough that anyone holding them would have worked. But around noon, her supervisor came to find her with a strange look on her face. "Sophia," she said quietly, "the nanny up in the presidential suite is asking for you. She wants extra blankets, officially. But between us, I think she just wants you to come back." Sophia felt her stomach turn, not from fear, exactly, more from the feeling of stepping onto ground where she did not belong. She took the blankets. She rode the service elevator up. She knocked on the door. Carmen opened it before Sophia's knuckle hit twice. The woman looked 10 years older than she had the night before. Her eyes were red. Her hands were shaking. "Oh, thank God," she said. "Come in, please. They haven't stopped since they woke up. I've tried everything. I can't do this anymore." The 3 babies were in their bassinets, all 3 of them red-faced and screaming. Mateo was the loudest, a high, sharp cry that cut through the air. Ivan was lower but constant, like a siren far away. Rosa had her eyes squeezed shut, and her whole body was trembling. Sophia set the blankets on a chair. She looked at those 3 small faces, and she felt something open up in her chest that she had no name for. Sophia started with Mateo because he was the loudest. She lifted him carefully, felt him push against her in the first few seconds, all protest and fight. She held him against her chest anyway. Breathed slow, began the sound. It was not a song with words. It was more like a hum that moved in waves, going down low and then coming back up. Her mother called it the old sound. Sophia had asked once where it came from, and Remedios had just smiled and said, "From before words." Mateo's crying did not stop immediately. But after about 3 minutes, the quality of it changed. It became less sharp, more like tiredness than panic. And then, like a candle being gently blown out, he went quiet. 10 minutes total. Sophia placed him back and picked up Ivan. Ivan took 15 minutes. He kept opening his eyes and looking at her like he was trying to decide whether to trust her. She did not rush him. She just kept breathing, kept making the sound, kept swaying in that slow side-to-side rhythm that her mother had used when the world outside their apartment was too loud. Rosa was the fastest. The moment Sophia held her, the baby let out one long sigh, like she had been holding her breath and finally felt safe enough to let it go. When Carmen came back from the bathroom, all three babies were asleep. The nanny stood in the doorway with her hand over her mouth. Then she looked at Sophia and said, very quietly, I have raised 7 children in my life. I have never seen anything like this. Sophia started coming back every day. It was never official. There was always some excuse. Delivering towels, bringing up a fruit plate, dropping off extra pillows. But everyone knew the real reason. Carmen needed help. The babies needed Sophia. And Sophia, though she would not have admitted it out loud, needed the babies too. Something was happening to her that she did not fully understand. Each time she picked up Rosa and the baby relaxed completely, like a fist slowly opening, Sophia felt something inside herself relax too. Each time Mateo grabbed her finger with his tiny hand, she felt a kind of fullness she had never felt anywhere else. Each time Ivan looked up at her with those big dark eyes, still uncertain but no longer afraid, she felt like she was protecting something precious. It was pure instinct, and instinct told her not to question it. Eduardo would sometimes be in the suite when she arrived, sitting on the couch with his laptop open, pretending to work. She could feel his eyes on her, not in a bad way, not like the look some hotel guests gave her. This was more like confusion, like he was watching something he did not understand and was bothered by how much he did not understand it. Sophia kept things professional. Good afternoon, Mr. Montoya. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. She did not reach for connection. She knew exactly what she was. The waitress who helped with the babies. That was the box. She intended to stay inside it. But the babies did not care about boxes. And neither, it turned out, did her heart. Cecilia Vargas was the executive director of the Eden Gardens Hotel. She was 45 years old, impeccably dressed at all hours, and she ran the building the way a general runs a war. Every detail correct. Every person in their place. Nothing out of order. She had been in Eduardo's life for a long time, years before Maria, a relationship that lasted almost 3 years, the kind that looked like partnership from the outside, but never quite became love, at least not equally. When Eduardo met Maria at a charity event in Austin, something shifted in him that had never shifted with Cecilia. He ended things carefully, respectfully. Cecilia smiled and said she understood. She did not. After Maria died, Cecilia reappeared. She framed it as loyalty, as friendship, as concern. She positioned herself as the steady hand Eduardo needed. She managed the hotel, managed the schedule, managed the narrative around his grief. She was always there, always helpful, always watching. When she noticed how much time Sophia was spending in the presidential suite, something cold settled behind her eyes. She came to the suite one afternoon, elegant as always. She looked at Sophia with a smile that was the shape of a smile, but not the substance of one. "Oh, the little waitress who sings to the babies," she said. "How sweet. Eduardo mentioned you." Sophia felt her face go warm. "I only help when Carmen needs it, ma'am." Of course. Very kind of you. But you do have your duties in the restaurant, don't we? We wouldn't want to pull you away from what you're actually here to do." The message was clear. Know your place. After that day, things changed. Small at first. Sophia was assigned worse shifts. Late nights, early mornings, weekends. The supervisor always had an explanation ready. Rotation schedule, she said. Nothing personal. But Sophia was not naive. She had grown up in a neighborhood where you learned early to read the way powerful people moved. They rarely said what they meant directly. They used systems. They used schedules. They used paperwork. The other staff started making comments. Nothing direct. Just the kind of words that land sideways and still leave bruises. "Sophia thinks she's special now," one woman muttered in the break room, going up to the rich man's floor every day. "Careful, Mija. Girls like us don't end up in places like that." Sophia pretended not to hear, but each word stuck, because part of her was afraid they were right. Afraid she had crossed some invisible line between the world she came from and the world she was stepping into. Afraid of what it meant that she looked forward to seeing those 3 babies more than anything else in her day. She kept going anyway. Then one evening, her supervisor pulled her aside after her shift. "Sophia, I have to tell you something. Cecilia asked me to watch you." Sophia felt the floor drop under her. "Why?" The supervisor looked away. "She thinks you're spending too much time up there, getting too comfortable with Mr. Montoya. But I'm just helping with the babies." I know, her supervisor said. "I'm just warning you. Cecilia is not someone who plays." Sophia walked home through cool night air and felt the weight of something coming. 3 buses. That was the commute from Sophia's neighborhood to the hotel. 1 hour and 40 minutes each way on a good day. She did it 5, sometimes 6 days a week. She left before the sun came up and came home after dark. Her apartment was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. A kitchen with a window did not close all the way. She and Remedios had lived there for 11 years. The walls had marks where Sophia had measured her own height as a teenager. The linoleum floor in the kitchen had a patch they had covered with a mat for so long that sometimes Sophia forgot it was there. This was her life, and she had never once thought it was something to be ashamed of. But that night, walking home after the warning from her supervisor, something heavy sat on her chest. She was not ashamed. She was angry. Angry that caring for 3 helpless babies had become something suspicious. Angry that simply being good at something, simply being needed, was being twisted into a problem. When she got home, Remedios was in the kitchen drinking chamomile tea. One look at Sophia's face, and she set down her cup. "What happened?" Sophia sat across from her mother. "I think I'm getting myself into trouble." "Mama." She told her everything. The babies, Eduardo, Cecilia, the shifting schedules, the looks from co-workers, the warning from her supervisor. Remedios listened without interrupting, her hands wrapped around her mug. When Sophia finished, her mother was quiet for a long moment. Then she exhaled slowly. "Baby girl," she said, "you have a heart too big for a world this small. But listen to me. Rich people are not your friends. They can be polite." Remedios continued. "They can even be kind sometimes. But in the end, to them, we are always just a help. Never forget that." "I know, Mama." "Do you really?" Remedios reached across the table and took her daughter's hand. "Because the way you talk about those babies, it sounds like you are already attached." Sophia looked down. "I didn't mean to get attached. They're just so small, Mama. So lost. Like they know somebody is missing. They're missing their mother." "Yes." Remedios tightened her grip. "But you are not their mother. Sophia, you never will be. No matter how much you sing, no matter how much you care, one day you will have to walk away. And when that day comes, who is going to take care of you?" Sophia had no answer for that. She knew her mother was right. She knew the logic was sound. She knew every practical thing about her situation pointed to the same conclusion. Stop going up there. Stay in your lane. Protect yourself. But the next morning, when her shift started and the suite called down for extra coffee, Sophia found herself on the service elevator anyway. Not because anyone forced her. Not because she was hoping for anything. But because when she closed her eyes the night before, she had heard Rose's small breathing in her memory. And she could not pretend that did not matter. She told herself it was just one more day. She had been telling herself that for 3 weeks. One more day, one more day. And every day, those 3 tiny faces looked up at her and made leaving feel like something impossible. The blow came on a Tuesday morning. Sophia had just finished serving breakfast to a table of executives when her supervisor appeared with the face Sophia had learned to dread. "Come with me. Now, please." They walked through the service corridor to the management office on the 2nd floor. When Sophia stepped inside, she found more people than she expected. Cecilia behind the desk, the human resources manager, a hotel security guard, 2 people from the administrative office. Everyone serious. Everyone watching her. Cecilia had her hands folded on the desk, her posture perfect as always. But there was something different in her eyes. Something cold. something that looked uncomfortably close to satisfaction. "Sit down, Sophia." Sophia sat. Her hands were wet. "Something happened," Cecilia said. "Some items have gone missing from the presidential suite. Small things, but missing. And you are the staff member with the most access to that room." Sophia blinked. "Missing? What items?" "Cash left for Nanny. And this." Cecilia reached into a drawer and placed a small plastic bag on the desk. Inside it was a thin gold-toned bracelet with a heart charm. Sophia's bracelet, the one her mother had given her for her birthday the year before. This was found inside the suite safe, a place you had absolutely no reason to access. The blood in Sophia's body went cold. "But I lost that bracelet days ago. I looked everywhere. I never opened any safe. I was only with the babies." "Is that what you say?" Cecilia tilted her head. The polite smile was back. "Poisonous. The evidence tells a different story." Cecilia continued. "You had access to the suite. You were alone there multiple times. And now your belongings appear in places they should not be. I didn't steal anything." Sophia's voice came out louder than she intended. "Somebody put that bracelet there. Somebody is setting me up." The HR manager cleared his throat. "Sophia, we have to take this seriously. These are serious accusations. They're false accusations." Sophia felt her eyes burn, but she held back the tears. She would not give them that. She would not let them see her break. "I have never stolen anything in my life. You can search my bag, my locker, my apartment. You will find nothing, because I did not do this." Cecilia sighed. "Perform patience. We're not formally accusing you yet, Sophia, but we do need to investigate. And while that happens, you are suspended from your duties." The words landed like stones. Formal written warning. Suspected theft. On any future job application, that would follow her. That mark would follow her everywhere. No one hires someone with a theft flag on their record. No one. "This is not fair," Sophia whispered. Her voice broke just slightly on the last word. "Life is not fair, dear." Cecilia closed the folder with a clean, final motion. "You can go. You will receive the official notice in writing. And please stay away from the presidential suite going forward. I think that is best for everyone." Sophia left the office in a kind of trance. She could feel the stares of co-workers in the corridor. The news had already moved through the building the way bad news always does in small spaces. Too fast. Sophia went to the locker room, got her bag, and walked out through the service exit. She did not want to see anyone. She did not want to explain herself. She just walked. She was almost to the street when a security guard grabbed her arm. It was Marcus, a large man around 50 years old, known in the staff for being unnecessarily rough. "Where do you think you're going?" "I'm leaving. They suspended me." "I know." He yanked her bag off her shoulder with more force than necessary and started pulling things out onto the concrete. Wallet, keys, a tube of lip balm, a sanitary pad, a folded piece of paper, a worn small notebook. Nothing that did not belong to her. Nothing that was not hers. He handed the bag back with a shove. "Go ahead." Sophia stood there for a moment, looking at her things scattered on the ground. The notebook was open. The paper had landed face down. Something broke inside her. Not loudly, just quietly, the way a bone fractures instead of snaps. The feeling of being treated like garbage, like less than nothing. She bent down and collected her things slowly, her hands trembling slightly. Then she stood, held the bag against her chest, and walked away without looking back. The 3 buses home were the longest of her life. She sat in the back and stared out the window. The city moved past her in gray and noise. She did not cry on the bus. But by the time she reached her stop, the tears came, silent and steady, walking the last 2 blocks home alone. When she got home, Remedios took one look at her and knew. Her mother did not say, "I told you so." She did not say anything at first. She just opened her arms. And Sophia walked into them and cried until she had nothing left. When she could breathe again, she told her mother everything. The bracelet planted in the safe, the suspension, the HR meeting, the security guard humiliating her in the parking lot. Remedios held her through all of it. And when Sophia finished, her mother's face was stone. "My poor girl." Remedios stroked her hair. "I warned you. I know, Mama. You didn't do anything wrong." "I know. Then how? How does this happen?" "Because in their world," Remedios said, her voice low and certain, "we are always guilty. The truth does not matter when they decide to write the story." That evening, sitting on the edge of her bed staring at the ceiling, Sophia thought about the babies. Were they crying again? Could Carmen manage alone? Did Eduardo know what had happened? He probably did. And Cecilia had probably told him a version that made Sophia sound like exactly the kind of person they warned rich people about. The sneaky one from the poor neighborhood. The one who got too close and helped herself. She pressed her face into her pillow and let the anger come. Anger at Cecilia. Anger at Eduardo for believing without asking. Anger at herself for being surprised. And underneath all of it, a dull and exhausting sadness, because she had actually cared about those 3 babies. She still did. 3 days after the suspension, a woman Sophia had never seen came to her door, well-dressed 40s, carrying a leather briefcase with small gold clasps. She introduced herself without giving a name and held out an envelope. Inside were $10,000 in cash. "Take this, sign a confidentiality agreement, and walk away. Never speak about the hotel, Mr. Montoya, or anything that happened. The offer is more than fair." Sophia stared at the envelope. $10,000. Nearly 6 months of her salary. She could pay off every overdue bill. Buy 2 months of Remedios' medication without anxiety. Breathe for the first time in weeks. And all she had to do was be silent. "What if I say no?" The woman smiled without warmth. "Then the theft complaint goes to the police. And even if nothing gets proven, that follows you forever. No employer will take the risk. You know how these things work." Sophia closed the door without answering. But that night, lie awake at 2 a.m, she thought seriously about going back. Knocking on the woman's door. Accepting the money. Maybe Remedios was right. Maybe fighting powerful people was just a longer way of hurting yourself. Maybe it was time to stop. She almost convinced herself. Then she remembered something. She remembered the way Rosa had looked at her the very first time she picked her up, not at anyone else. At her, like she recognized something. Like she knew, on some level no one could explain, that this was a safe pair of hands. Sophia did not sleep that night. But by morning, she had her answer. There was something wrong with the whole picture. Not just Cecilia being jealous or possessive. Something bigger. Something more deliberate. Sophia had been replaying every detail of the past weeks. Every moment in that suite. Every conversation she had overheard. And one thing kept coming back to her. The syrup. Cecilia insisted the babies receive a calming syrup before sleep each night. Sophia had seen the nurse, a quiet young woman named Tatiana, 26 years old, administer it several times. Tatiana always had an expression on her face that Sophia could not quite name. Not happy about it, not comfortable, but not refusing either. The babies hated the syrup. They made terrible faces, gagged, sometimes cried even harder afterward. Sophia had assumed it was just one of those medicines all babies rejected. But now, thinking about it more carefully, she noticed something else. The babies never calmed down after the syrup. They only calmed when Sophia held them, sang to them, when someone was genuinely present with no agenda. And there was something else. Once, while cleaning up the bathroom counter in the suite, Sophia had seen a small bottle in the trash. No label, just a plain container with no markings at all. At the time, she had been too busy to think much about it. Now that image would not leave her alone. Medicine without a label was not normal. It was not legal. And Cecilia always appeared personally when the syrup was given, watching like someone who needed to make sure it happened. "You cannot forget this," she would say. "It is essential for them to sleep." But they never slept after syrup, only after Sophia. She started researching. She spent 2 nights reading about infant sedatives, about what they could do to babies as young as 7 months old. What she found made her feel cold all over. Too much sedative in an infant that small could cause breathing problems, could affect development, could cause damage that would not show up for years. If someone was giving those babies sedatives deliberately, over and over, that was not care. That was something else entirely. What it was, she did not want a name yet. She needed to talk to someone who actually knew the inside of that hotel. Someone who had been watching for a long time. The answer came 2 days later. She was at the corner market near her apartment, counting change for bread and milk, when she heard her name. She turned. Standing in the cereal aisle was Donna Gloria Barreto, the hotel's head housekeeper. A small woman, around 60 years old, with silver hair always pinned up perfectly. Sophia knew her by sight, but they had never really talked. Donna Gloria looked around quickly, like she was checking whether anyone was listening. "Can I speak with you?" she said quietly. "It's important." They walked to a small park nearby, half abandoned, with cracked benches and dead grass. Donna Gloria sat down and was silent for a moment. Her hands moved nervously in her lap. Then she said, "I know you didn't steal anything. I have worked in that hotel for 30 years. I can tell a setup when I see one." Sophia felt tears threaten. "You believe me?" "Yes," Donna Gloria said. "And I think you are in danger." Donna Gloria leaned forward, her voice low. "Cecilia is not who she pretends to be. There are ugly things happening in that hotel. They have been happening for a while. And Maria's death." She paused and looked at Sophia directly. "Some of us never believed it was just a complication." Sophia's heart stopped. "What do you mean?" "Maria was a good woman." Donna Gloria's voice softened. "She always treated the staff well. She knew our names, our children's names. But in the last few months before she died, she was different, frightened. I saw her arguing with Cecilia once in the private lounge. At first, I thought it was jealousy. Everyone knew Cecilia had been with Eduardo before he met Maria. She had been with him for almost 3 years. Eduardo met Maria and fell in love, really in love, and ended things with Cecilia. And Cecilia came back after Maria died, saying she wanted to help. Everyone saw what it was. Donna Gloria folded her hands. The argument I overheard, it was about documents, a will, an insurance policy. Maria was saying something about money, about things being changed without her knowing. Cecilia told her she was imagining things, that it was pregnancy paranoia. 3 weeks after that argument, Maria was gone. They said it was a postpartum hemorrhage. The doctor signed the papers. Eduardo was in shock. Nobody pushed back, because Eduardo Montoya had money and influence, and the official version was accepted without question. Sophia felt ice moving through her. And the babies? Donna Gloria's face tightened. "I think Cecilia has been using those babies to control Eduardo, making him feel helpless. And that syrup is not prescribed," Donna Gloria said. "I saw the bottle once in the sweet trash. No pharmacy label, no doctor's name. In 30 years at that hotel, I have never seen a real medication without proper labeling. Never." Sophia felt her chest tighten. She is making them sick on purpose? Donna Gloria pressed her lips together, making them uncomfortable, making them cry, making Eduardo feel desperate and incompetent. So he needs her, so he depends on her. A man who believes he cannot manage his own children without you standing next to him is a man who will not send you away. And maybe worse, Donna Gloria added quietly, "I think about what happens next, if she marries him, if she controls the estate. Those children have her as their caretaker. She killed the woman who gave birth to them. What does that make those babies to her?" Sophia gripped the edge of the bench. "I have to do something." Donna Gloria took her hand. "Be careful. You have no money for a lawyer. You have a theft accusation following you. Nobody in power is on your side right now. Your word against hers means nothing. What do I do? Stay quiet for now. Don't accept the money she offered. Don't sign anything." Donna Gloria thought for a moment. "I'm going to look into something. There's a young woman in the laundry room, my goddaughter, Joanna. She has a habit of saving small things she finds in bed linens. Papers, notes, little objects. She keeps them in a box in case someone comes looking. I want to check if she has anything." Sophia looked at this older woman who owed her nothing. "Why are you doing this for me?" Donna Gloria's smile was sad. "Not for you, child. For Maria." Sophia went home that night with more fear than before, but also with something new in her chest. A direction, a reason to keep moving. Then the police called. The voice was flat and official. This is Detective Rivera from the 3rd District. You need to come in today to provide a statement regarding a theft complaint. A formal complaint had been filed with the police, not just a hotel warning. This was now a criminal matter. Sophia stood in her kitchen for a long time after hanging up. Then she told Remedios. Her mother sat down at the kitchen table and looked at the surface of it for a moment. Then she looked up. Public defender. Tomorrow morning, they have to help you. What if they don't? They will. And if they don't, we find someone who will. Sophia went to the station the next afternoon. 3 buses in the rain. The building was gray and smelled of bleach and old paper. She waited for 40 minutes on a plastic chair before Detective Rivera came out. He was around 50, tired-looking, a man with too many cases and not enough hours. He sat across a small table from her and read the complaint. Mr. Eduardo Montoya is listed as a victim, he said. You know what that means? Sophia met his eyes. He believed her. He believed Cecilia. The detective shrugged. He filed a report. He says items were taken from his suite. You had access. Your bracelet was found in his safe. That is the position he has taken. Sophia told her side completely. Every detail. The detective listened with the careful blankness of someone who has heard many stories. When she finished, he gave her advice she did not ask for. Just cooperate. If you return what you took, he might not press charges. I didn't take anything. He sighed like she had said something predictable. Sophia left the police station feeling like the sidewalk might give way under her feet at any moment. The city did not care. Cars moved past. People talked on phones. Someone walked a dog. The world continued as if nothing terrible had just happened to her. On the bus home, 2 women near the front of the vehicle were talking about a news story on one of their phones. Look at this, one of them said. Another housekeeper stealing from her employer. I feel bad for anyone who has to hire these people. You can't trust them. The other woman agreed without hesitation. Sophia looked out the window. She thought about saying something. She did not, because she understood in a deep and exhausted way that the women on that bus had already decided. The story was already written before she could speak a single word in her own defense. Poor and accused. Guilty until proven otherwise. Sometimes even guilty after. When she got home, Remedios was coughing more than usual. Sophia made tea, helped her mother sit comfortably, and spent the next hour pretending everything was fine. After Remedios fell asleep, Sophia sat in the kitchen in the dark and allowed herself to feel the full weight of everything. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A photo. It showed her inside the suite, holding Rosa. The angle was strange, like someone had photographed her without her knowing. Underneath the image was one word. Proof. Sophia set the phone down on the table. She put both her hands flat on the surface. She breathed. This was not jealousy. This was not a petty power play from a possessive executive. This was a deliberate, planned destruction. And she was the target. 2 days after the police station, a new message arrived. A video this time. Security footage from a hotel, edited with precision. Sophia walking into the suite. Sophia picking up a baby. Sophia opening a drawer. The clip cut away at exactly the right moment, right before you could see that she was only reaching for a burp cloth. Without that context, it looked like exactly what Cecilia needed it to look like. The message below the video read, "We have more. Much more. Accept the agreement, or this goes to the media. Struggling waitress steals from grieving widower. Your life ends tomorrow. Last chance." Sophia read the message 3 times. She put the phone down. She picked it up and read it again. Then she walked to her mother's room and woke her up. Remedios watched the video without speaking. Read the message twice. Then she handed the phone back and looked at her daughter with the careful, clear eyes of someone who has survived many impossible things. Are you going to accept the money? No. Sophia's voice was quiet, but there was no hesitation in it. Good. Remedios reached out and held her daughter's face in both hands. Then listen to me carefully. Those people have power and resources, and yes, they can probably make things very hard for you. But they made one mistake. They underestimated you. How does that help me, Mama? Because underestimating someone is how you lose to them. Remedios said, they think you are nothing. They think you will fold. And when you don't, When you keep standing, that surprises them. Surprised people make mistakes. Sophia took a breath. I don't know how to win this. Nobody does until they have to. Now go get some sleep. Tomorrow we figure out the next. Sophia typed one word back to the unknown number. No. She hit send. Then she put the phone face down on the table. She did not sleep. But by morning, she had decided something. She was not going to accept the money. She was not going to disappear. But she also needed more than her own word. She needed proof. 2 days later, Donna Gloria appeared at her door before sunrise, out of breath, holding a plastic bag against her chest like it contained something fragile. I found something, she said. Come inside, Sophia said. Donna Gloria sat at the kitchen table and pulled a small notebook from the bag. It had a floral cover, worn at the edges. My goddaughter Joanna has been working in hotel laundry for 15 years. She found this in the sweet bed linens about 3 months ago, right around the time Maria died. She saved it in her box because she thought someone might want it back. Nobody ever asked. Sophia opened the notebook with careful hands. The writing inside was small, neat, feminine. A pregnancy journal. Maria Montoya. She had written about the babies every day. Their growth, the ultrasounds, the symptoms, the fear and joy mixed together. But toward the back, the writing changed. It became rushed. Urgent. The joy was gone. March 14th. Cecilia came again. Said, we need to talk about the future. I don't like the way she looks at me. Like I am an obstacle. April 2nd. I found documents in Eduardo's office. An insurance policy I didn't know about. The numbers are enormous, and the clauses are strange. If I die and he remarries within 5 years, half of everything goes to new wife. Who put this here? Why? Sophia kept reading. Her hands were trembling. April 15th. Cecilia knows I'm afraid. I saw it in her eyes today. She wants me to be afraid. The last line Donna Gloria had mentioned was there, underlined so hard the pen had almost torn the paper. If something happens to me, look in the office safe. I hid copies of everything there. Eduardo, if you ever read this, please don't trust Cecilia. The final entry was dated 2 days before Maria died. I don't feel well. Dizzy, nauseous, sharp pains in my stomach. The doctors say it is normal for after delivery, but I have never felt like this before. Something is wrong. I am afraid to sleep. I am afraid I won't wake up. Donna Gloria had tears on her face. She knew, that poor girl. She knew something was happening to her, and she died afraid, alone with that fear. And nobody dug deeper because Eduardo Montoya is powerful, and when powerful men accept an official explanation, the rest of the world follows. Sophia closed the notebook carefully. This is evidence. It shows she suspected Cecilia. It shows she had documents. We need to get into that safe. How? Donna Gloria asked. You are banned from the hotel. If you try to walk in, they will arrest you on the spot. Sophia looked at the notebook in her hands. Then she looked at Donna Gloria. I need to talk to Eduardo directly. Donna Gloria shook her head. Cecilia has poisoned him against you completely. If you show him that notebook, he will think you stole it too. Sophia sat very still for a moment. Then she said, we are going to have to go in at night. They planned carefully. Donna Gloria still had full building access. Her position as head housekeeper came with a master key, and nobody questioned a woman of her seniority doing a late-night rounds check. She knew every camera position in that building. She knew which ones had blind spots and which ones could be temporarily redirected using the maintenance interface. They chose a Wednesday night. Remedios knew something serious was happening, but did not ask for specifics. When Sophia hugged her goodbye at the door, Remedios held on a little longer than usual. Come back, she said. That was all. Sophia arrived across the street from the hotel at 3 a.m. The city was quiet. She stood behind a tree and waited, watching a specific second-floor window. At 3:12, a small light blinked 3 times. Donna Gloria's signal. Sophia crossed the street in the dark. The service entrance was unlocked. Exactly as planned. Donna Gloria was inside waiting. They did not speak. They moved up the service stairs quickly, avoiding the elevators. Donna Gloria moved through that building the way only someone who has spent 30 years in the same place can move. without hesitation, without looking. When they reached the corridor near the presidential suite, Dona Gloria stopped. This camera up here cannot be shut down for my access. We have to cross fast and hope the monitor is not being watched right now. What if it is? Then we are finished. Sophia breathed. Okay. They crossed. The camera's red light blinked steadily above them. Neither of them ran. Running looks guilty. They walked quickly, silently, like they belonged. Dona Gloria inserted the master key. The door opened with a small click. They slipped inside. The suite was dark except for the soft glow of the bedside lamps. Sophia heard something, and her heart nearly stopped. Then she recognized it. A low, tired cry from one of the bassinets. Rosa, barely audible, as if the baby had been crying so long she no longer had the energy for volume. Sophia had to physically stop herself from going to her. Focus, she told herself. The office door was on the left side of the room. They moved toward it, stepped inside. Dona Gloria pulled the door almost closed behind them. The room was small but expensive, dark with desks, shelves of books, a built-in safe in the corner. How do we open it? Sophia whispered. I have no idea, Dona Gloria answered. Sophia felt panic push at the edges of her mind. She had not thought this through. Of course the safe had a combination. Of course she could not guess it. She was about to admit defeat when voices came from outside the door. Someone had just entered the suite. Both women froze. The voice cut through the room like a blade. Did you give today's dose? It was Cecilia. Sophia recognized it instantly. Yes, ma'am, said another voice. Tatiana, the nurse. But they won't stop crying. Increase it then. But the dosage is already at the limit. If I give more, it could be dangerous. Cecilia's voice went flat. You do what I tell you, or you are fired. Is that understood? A pause. Then, yes, ma'am. Sophia had her phone already recording before she fully understood what she was doing. Every word, every syllable. Her hands were shaking badly, but she did not stop. Cecilia kept talking. She moved closer to the office door while she spoke. Sophia and Dona Gloria pressed themselves behind the couch in the small room, barely breathing. Those babies need to be asleep by the time Eduardo gets back. I cannot look incompetent right now. Not when I am this close. She stopped herself, seemed to realize she had said too much. Anyway, just do what I said. Then Rosa began to cry again, louder this time. Cecilia exhaled with sharp irritation. Then Tatiana's voice broke. I can't keep doing this, ma'am. I helped with what happened to Maria. Like you asked, but this is too much. This is too much. These are just babies. Cecilia's voice went cold and quiet in a way that was somehow worse than shouting. You helped because you were paid, and you will keep helping because I know everything you did. If you think about going to anyone, I will tell them it was all you, your word against mine. Who do they believe? The executive director or the hired nurse? Tatiana was crying now. Please, just let me go. You leave when I say so. And right now you're going to calm those babies, put them to sleep, and stop acting like a child yourself. Do you understand me? A long pause. Then very quietly. Yes. Footsteps moving away from the office. The outer door of the suite opened and closed. Cecilia was gone. Sophia and Dona Gloria remained still for another full minute. Then Dona Gloria put her mouth close to Sophia's ear. We need to leave. Now. They stood, moved to the office door. And before Sophia could think about it differently, the outer door opened again. A man's voice, tired and low. Tatiana, are you still here? Sophia went completely still. It was Eduardo. She pressed back against the wall. Tatiana sounded startled. Mr. Montoya, I thought you weren't back until morning. I canceled the meeting. Couldn't stop thinking about the kids. How are they? Still crying, sir. Like always. Eduardo exhaled. A sound that was somewhere between a laugh and a sob. He moved to the bassinets. Sophia could hear him pick up one of the babies. Probably Ivan, based on the sound. And then something happened that Sophia did not expect. Eduardo began to cry. Not a quiet, controlled cry. A real one. I'm sorry, he said to his son. I'm sorry. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be a father without her. I don't know how to be anything right now. Tatiana was crying too. You're doing the best you can. Sir, I'm not. He said it clearly, without argument. I know I'm not. He was quiet for a moment. That waitress, Sophia, she could calm them without medicine, without anything. Just her presence. And I believed Cecilia when she said she was stealing. I believed it without even asking Sophia her side. Sophia felt something split open in her chest. I have spent my whole life letting other people make my decisions for me. Eduardo continued. My father, Cecilia, and the one person who actually helped my children I threw away, because Cecilia told me to. Donna Gloria grabbed Sophia's arm. Now she mouthed, but Sophia did not move. Instead, she stepped forward and opened the office door. Eduardo turned. His eyes were red. His face was wet. When he saw Sophia standing in the doorway of his own office, he went absolutely still. Sophia stepped forward. Her voice was calm. She had decided to be calm. Mr. Montoya, you are being manipulated. Cecilia has been lying to you. She killed your wife. She has been drugging your children. I can prove it. She held up her phone. I have her on recording. Everything. Eduardo stood with Ivan against his shoulder, staring at her. Tatiana made a sound and ran to the bathroom, locking herself inside. Eduardo looked at the phone for a long moment. Then he crossed the room and took it from her. He pressed play. He listened to every word. When the recording ended, he was pale and still. Then he said, very quietly, she really did it. All of it. He called his attorney first. Then the police. Within 20 minutes, the suite was no longer a quiet room with sleeping babies. It was a scene moving toward justice. When Cecilia arrived back at the hotel for her forgotten documents, 3 officers were waiting. She tried to control the room. She tried to use her contacts, her influence, her perfectly assembled arguments. But Sophia had the recording, the journal, the insurance documents Mariana had hidden in the safe, and Tatiana, willing to tell everything. They took Cecilia away in handcuffs. 3 months later, on a quiet afternoon in their home in the Villa Mariana neighborhood of San Antonio, Sophia sat on the living room floor, surrounded by Mateo, Ivan, and Rosa. Eduardo brought her coffee. Donna Gloria brought flan and pan dulce. Remedios, healthier now, came to Sunday lunch every week. Sophia looked around the room at this strange, impossible family, and she sang the old sound, the one her mother had taught her, and the babies smiled. This is the kind of story you find only on Addictive Stories, where love proves stronger than power, and where the most ordinary person in the room sometimes turns out to be the bravest. Thank you for watching on Addictive Stories.